Today I am here to talk about the Bears NFL draft. Um, it was something that a lot of people were a fan of, although I'm not so sure I was that big a fan of it. Of course, the Bears are my division rival, so I would, on some level, hope that they don't have good drafts. But also, of course, I just want to make sure every rookie has a good time and is having a good draft, and I want to see everyone succeed. And I do think that the guys that they got are in a position to succeed. However, I'm a bit concerned about the overall ramifications that this draft might entail. So let's get into that. First off, they took Colston Loveland with the 10th overall pick. Big surprise. A lot of people thought Tyler Warren was going to be the first tight end off the board, and frankly, a lot of people didn't have the Bears going tight end. Clearly, they thought that this was the best player available, at least for what they were looking for, and I get it. I'm not going to criticize them for taking Loveland over Warren. I personally believe Warren is a better prospect, but Colson Loveland has a lot of upside too. My worry, however, is Colston Loveland is a tight end, and get rid of that Brock Bowers pick and a few others across the years. The NFL actually doesn't have a great track record when it comes to taking tight ends really high. I mean, just look at Kyle Pitts. He's a great recent example. He was supposed to be like generational at tight end. That has not panned out. And my worry is that Colston Loveland and any tight end as a whole, I don't know if I trust the NFL to properly evaluate these guys. I do think that Ryan Poles picked this with obviously a lot of Ben Johnson in mind. Ben Johnson, I'm sure, had a ton of influence over the picks here. So Colston Loveland will get to at least have someone with a plan for him, and that plan is an offensive genius in Ben Johnson. So that's really going to help him. But also, I don't see what separates Colston Loveland from a lot of other tight ends that haven't lived up to their high expectations. Colston Loveland is no Brock Bowers. I really like Colston Loveland, first round talent for sure. He's no Brock Bowers. And who knows where he's going to end up? The ceiling is high here. But the floor, unfortunately for tight ends, no matter how good we think they are, the floor is low. And it's a real shame. But that's just the way it is. So next up, the Chicago Bears took Luther Burden III in the second round. Anyone taking Luther Burden in the second round is getting a steal. No matter what, Luther Burden is a first-round talent easily, and I'm not quite sure injuries or maybe character concerns. He dropped, probably injuries. And that's a real shame. It also could have been due to the fact that he wasn't playing with the best quarterbacks in Mizzou, which kind of held him back. So maybe some people are saying, well, how does he really look with an elite quarterback? I think he looks great. However, well, I'll continue with the positives. One last thing. Again, Ben Johnson definitely likes this guy. Ben Johnson knows what he's doing, and he's coming in with a plan for him. And I really like that. But there is a however. However, the Bears already have a number one wide receiver in DJ Moore. The Bears also took a top 10 receiver last year in Rome Odunze. And then they just took Colston Loveland. Now with Luther Burden, that's 4 guys you really got to prioritize on the offense. You're not going to get the... Ben Johnson can do a lot. I don't think he can get the ball to all four guys. So now we have to ask the question, we have to ask, is someone maybe going to be moved already? It's possible. DJ Moore might be closer to the chopping block than we realize. It's possible they don't have a lot of faith in Rome Odunze. I don't know. But I don't know how this is going to work. I'm curious to see. Clearly, they're prioritizing a pass offense much more than Ben Johnson's time with the Lions, where the Russian attack was huge. They got Kyle Monangai later in this draft, who I'll talk about, but otherwise, they also have DeAndre Swift. It's clear that the passing game is going to be number one here. Even still, this is worrisome. Luther Burden is a potential alpha receiver, though. He could end up being the number one guy in this offense. Should they want to move on from DJ Moore? Should something happen? I can see it. So I get it. I get the logic. But where does this leave us? That's my question. It leaves me with a lot of questions. Next up, we have Ozzy Trapillo at the tail end of the second round. Ozzy is a left tackle out of Boston College, and he's huge. He's got the size to really bring it. He's one of them big boys. And I love to see it in a class where a lot of the best tackles were going to end up being guards. Ozzy Trapillo is truly a tackle. So it looks like the hope is he's going to eventually replace one of the two tackles that's here right now. And yeah, I think that's a good plan. I don't know if Trapillo was the guy that I would have gone with, but if they see it in him, fair enough. He feels like he's a bit more developmental than some of the other obvious picks that were available, but also he's got time. So I see the potential there. I see the vision. Good pick, Chicago. 10 picks later, we have pick 62 in Shamar Turner. Shamar is a defensive interior guy out of Texas A&M. He is more of a high floor kind of guy. He just gives a lot of effort, and I really respect that about him. He's not going to give up, and he seems like one of those guys who coaches are really going to push for and really going to like. People are going to love Shamar Turner in that locker room for what he does. However, I don't think he's very versatile at the NFL level. He seems like just a nose tackle to me. Not that there's anything wrong with that, especially in the third round, getting a need at with a high floor. I get it. He's probably going to be a contributor, but I don't expect anything special from him, which is actually really interesting because Ryan Poles tends to seemingly take swings at the athletic guys more than anything. Shamar was definitely one of the athletic guys, but it feels like they never really prioritize high floor here. Ruben Hippolyte was the next pick. I know who Ruben Hippolyte was. A lot of fellow amateur scouts were nowhere on the radar with him. He wasn't on my radar. I just know him because I'm a Maryland boy, and he went to UMD. Looking at his stats, this is what I was just talking about. Ryan Poles loves his athletic freaks, and Ruben is absolutely an athletic freak. But this is a big swing on something that I'm not sure is going to pay off. I hope it does. I love my Maryland boys, but there were a lot of... I don't even want to say there were a lot of flaws with Ruben because it's not like I've really gone through the tape, but there was a reason why I wasn't going through it. He wasn't on people's radars. So to get him in the fourth round feels like a reach to me. I don't believe that there's anything I don't believe there's such a thing as a truly bad draft pick at the time. I believe in hindsight there's bad draft picks, but there's just draft picks that I have questions about, and I'm questioning the logic here. That's all. So overall, I was satisfied with day 3 for the Bears. It was Za Frazier, Zach Newman, and of course Kyle Monangai. Now, Frazier and Newman, I don't really have a lot to say. They feel like, solid day three picks. You like the guys, you take them. Hopefully they can be contributors. But I did want to talk about Kyle Monangai. I thought that the Bears were going to take a running back much earlier, and they did not. Instead, they waited until round 7 and ended up getting a great player in Kyle Monangai, I will say. Love the value. I would have taken him round 4 or 5. Kyle Monangai is just the classic power running back. A lot of, for Ben Johnson aficionados, a lot like David Montgomery. He just, oh my gosh, powerful guy. I thought the Bears might go with Cam Scatabo at some point, and this kind of seems like just as good of a fit. Similar styles. But I was shocked how long it took them to take running back. It felt like they might not even take running back at all. Crazy, considering DeAndre Swift and Ben Johnson, I don't want to say didn't get along. That feels harsh, but I want to say didn't fully connect. So now we're seeing the real vision here. They're not going to focus on the run game because obviously a room of DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai is not bad, but it doesn't show a lot of priority. This goes into the overall vision that they had, which was one that was more focused around Caleb Williams and the passing attack. So this confirms for us the vision that Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles have for the future here. And it's really exciting to me. However, I wouldn't be entirely truthful if I said I was sure this was going to work. It's not like I don't think Caleb's bad. I don't know what Caleb is. It's been so long, and it's been so short of a time. We don't really know where he's at. So it's a good idea to really, really pursue a team that emphasizes him. But at what point are you almost emphasizing him too much at the expense of the rest of your team? There's still questions that I have about this Bears roster. Their defensive line is not great. It is not great. They didn't really upgrade the defense in any way outside of Shamar Turner. And I think that should have been more of a priority. I would have, because we're getting Ben Johnson, and the offense was just going to get a boost because of that, I would have maybe prioritized at first a weapon around Caleb. I would have probably prioritized more of a running back, but clearly that's not the way they're going. With the way they're going, I would have prioritized a weapon at first, but I would have done more for the defense. Maybe they don't want to do that. Maybe they just didn't find a lot of defensive guys they liked. But it's not like Za Frazier and Ruben Hippolyte are going to be contributors right away. It's very unlikely. Shamar Turner can contribute right away, but he's not going to be a franchise cornerstone. So what are you going to do to address that? Because right now they need a star on defense, a real star, if they want to contend. Now they can find one soon. Next year maybe they'll trade for Trey Hendrickson. Who knows? That would be... If they do that, then I have no more questions. But for now, I'm not entirely sold. And I question how much this team is really going to get better. Because right now, they don't look like a playoff team. I was hoping they would make that leap, and they haven't, in my eyes. We'll see. All right. Thank you for watching. This is my Bears review. I'm going to do the Packers soon. I'm looking at some maybe sillier options for that. I don't like the Packers at all, and I don't really want to take their review seriously. So get ready for that. But thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Peace.